you around Keynote and get you started on your webinar template and your worksheet template. So I'll just go through some of the basic techniques that I use when I'm using Keynote, some of the things that I've learned. And so what we have is usually everything that I'm doing is in the little pop out over here. So you'll see when you click on a shape or when you click on words, you'll see style, text, and arrange pop up. Almost everything that I do is with one of these. And you'll see when text is selected, then the blue box pulls up. And right here, you'll find this is the style that the title is. I don't use layout very much at all, but there are things like shrink to text to fit, like in a box or something like that, that you might want to use. What I use is the size of the font. If I want to bold something, under here you have character spacing. So there's just like a 4% character space. That's the space in between the letters right there. And also if you wanted to set something to all caps, that would happen here. And then the text color, something I use a lot. If you highlight it and then you have these default colors, but what you want to do is keep your colors on brand. So I like to keep the style guide that I'm working on right to the side. So I have these hex code numbers underneath. So we'll be using those in a sec. You can also use the eyedrop tool and they get pretty close to being right on that. But what I like to do is use those. So this is the title in white. And if I click on that little rainbow box right there, it pulls up this. And sometimes this is a little finicky, but you can slide anywhere and click on it. And sometimes you have to do it twice just to make sure it's changing like what you want to change. It's just a little finicky that way. So what I like to do is when I get the color that I'm going to be using from then on, so like this is your white. So let's say I come over here, I highlight that. It's F7, F5, F2, just to make sure we get it right. And then I'll click on this box. And then right here is where you would paste that in and hit return. So this is the color that you're going to be using. What I like to do is slide it into my little color ways down here. So I just remember that's your white. You could delete, I think you'll have your own palette when you open it up in your own Keynote. So you could create one that just has your colors in it. So that's how we get to those colors. That's how you can change your text color, is by clicking on here, and then like we could click in one of these boxes and it would change the color right there. All right, go backwards, and this Command Z is to go backwards and erase what you just did. So let's keep talking about text a little bit. Like let's say you wanted to make this, you noticed when you were working on your template, you wanted to make the titles bigger. So what you could do is you'll notice when you click on that, you'll see that the title is the one we're using right here. Highlight it and then, bring the size up, just kind of watch where it's going. And you'll see the little asterisks right here. And if you update it, it will change everything on your document that's called title with the black lettering. So what I usually don't like to do that. What I like to do is just do the little plus sign under here and just call it title big, whatever will help you remember what it is. And then when you select that, it's title big now. So then if you were going through and let's say you wanted to make this title big, you could go there and you might have to move some around. And you can either just change the color here by selecting it. Let's go find your white again. Remember I said it takes a couple times, sometimes. And you could then, if you wanted to do title big white, you could do the same thing. Title big, white. And so now you have two more styles over here. So you have your title that's black, title big, title white, another title white, but you'll start to get to know what you're doing. And then it's just a lot quicker to go through. So let's say this is going to be your title, the title big, white. Here's where you can change and center that if that's what you wanted to do. And same case here. So let's just keep talking about text for a minute. So if you wanted the spacing, let's say you put in your copy and you want the spacing to be even more, you come here. This is after a paragraph. So after every sentence, this is how much space will be in between. This is where you change that. On the line spacing, let's say it was in between sentences. So let's try to make this an ongoing sentence. Okay, so you'll see that when I highlight that and do this right there, you'll see that it's spreading out the sentences. So those are up to you, how you want to do that. I just have it on what I think looks nice to start out. Okay, so that's a lot about text. Let's say you wanted to have some different variations of your webinars and have one that's in a different color. So let's just say we wanted to make one that had this like copper color. So come there, copy it. What I'm doing is I'm selecting that, and now we're going to go to style. So text, everything about the color, this is just for text. Now for style, this is where you can make changes to colors of objects and things. All right, so this is a color fill, and so let's see, remember how I just copied that color over there. So now I'm going to paste that name right there, hit return. I'm going to slide this down to so I have it in my colors, and now that is changed. And then you can just go through, and it's pretty easy to click and change everything. So you click on the color. I think advanced, I think it'll still work okay. So click on that button, click there, and then it changes. Okay, and click here, click that button, change. Maybe. All right, and here, there, one more time. And you could just go through and make all those changes like that. All right, so that's how you change color. Let's say you wanted to add in another line. What I would probably do if I was ever adding another line somewhere like this, well, you can slide it and make it longer. You can change, this is where you change the color of the line. This is where you change the thickness of the line. But also, like once I get a line thickness set up, I like to just keep that consistent. So I would come in here, I would highlight it, I would Command C, and then I would bring it to whichever page, I was wanting to add that line. Let's say it was there. And then you can just slide that around where you want it and slide it in. And you'll see these little yellow arrows kind of help us to know where things are. Okay, and there you have it. Let's say that you wanted it to just kind of blend in a little bit more like this. You can change the opacity of the line that way. And I'm trying to select that, so sometimes you have to slide over it. And then if you hold Shift down, you can deselect something by so what I did there is I highlighted that. It highlighted this back object and this. I want to not select that back object. I'm going to go hold Shift and click on that back object. Now just this is selected. This is an image that I created, so you can change the opacity of that right there, like that. It's made in white. So if you want to be consistent, you could change that back to 29. You could probably want to make this white. you could change this to 29, and then it's a consistent feel right there. So that's a little bit like that. Let's talk about changing a photo. Okay, changing a photo. If you click on the photo, it shows you Style, Image, Arrange. So you can replace it by clicking Replace, and then going to the folder where the photo that you want to change is. Here are Emily's. Here are Emily's. All right, so let's just change it to this one. So if you click Open, it'll add it there. All right, let's say we didn't like the positioning. That looks really great, but let's say you wanted to scale it. If you double click on the photo and you do this scale right here, you can do some moving around to see what works. You can also crop this image that's, you could slide that over a little bit too. Let's say we wanted to do that, so we could slide that over, go back to this one, kind of scale that down, slide it over, click done. And now we have this white space. All you have to do in this box is just grab it to the side and pull it over. So there it is. All right, a little bit about that. And let's see, so bringing in an object. So these are objects that I've brought in. Emily's logo right there. And let me just show you how to do that. So what I usually do is I have my Finder window. So here's Emily's photos. Let's go find one of Emily's logos and show how to do that. So I'm going to bring in one of the PNGs. That's a clear background setup for her. So let's say she wanted to change the logo to be this logo instead. I don't drop it right on the picture because it will take place the picture sometimes. So what I like to do is drop it in kind of above, and then I can, if I grab the corner, I can slide it. And sometimes these are a little finicky to move around, but you just grab it with your cursor and move it and just kind of place it right there. Yeah, just kind of sometimes have to be a little careful. And let's say I wanted to delete this one. I'm going to hold that shift down, deselect the back, and then click delete on my my keyboard. And I'm just going to use my arrow key. Oops, I'm having a hard time grabbing that. So I'm just holding down my arrow key, sliding this down. There's probably a lot of other ways to do it. This will help me get it exact anyway. All right, so there's that, if you wanted to change that. And remember, you can always just Command Z to go backwards. All right, a couple more things that, this will be a good place to get you started is if you, like, let's say you love the layout of this one and you want to use it multiple times. So what I like to do is just right click, or on mine, it's right click, duplicate, and then you have that, and you can just type in your new words, and you don't have to, copy and paste anything over. It's just set up for you. Same with this, maybe you get it set up just the way you like it. You kind of get a title going and it's set up just the way you like it. Then you just keep right clicking, duplicate, and then you can just type on the top of that. So another thing I recommend about Keynote is you want to make sure that you make copies of things before you start working on it. Because I know a lot of documents you can kind of work on top and then the other one stays saved, and then you make like a new copy. But I've run into trouble where I end up losing a lot of work. So I always make a duplicate before, and you can just do that right in, you can right click like this and just say duplicate and then name it to, or whatever you want to name it. That way you're always starting with, you're always keeping that original the way it is. So that's what I recommend. Okay, so let's say you're ready to download this. You're going to go to File, Export. You can um, you can save it like right here. You can export it. Let's say you just want to like run through your slides and see them as a PDF. You can do that. And we'll be talking more about that with worksheets too. That's how I save the worksheets as a PDF like that. You can try PowerPoint if that's one you like to use, or you can just save it and then get it ready and play it for your first presentation. All right, thanks so much.